theme of the content here is going to be that we have a sense of this culture warps how we see things and what we want. And so the first one is this idol of popularity. It is yes, it's very content creatory, but I think it actually, I think it affects everybody. So I want to read it together, and then kind of jump into whatever that is. I wish she would have. So let me read it. This is Charlie's. It's always very short. He tends not to write too much, but it's usually pretty good stuff. One of the realities of being a writer is that much of what a writer does is easily quantified. If your writing is online, you can get minute-by-minute reports and updates to see exactly how many people have read it or engaged with it. If you write books, you can get royalty reports to tell how exactly many books you have sold with your name on the cover. It's very numbers-driven field, and necessarily so. Anybody else vibe with that? Any content creators out there? I know I do. I get all kinds of reports on my views and on YouTube and books and comments and chat, and in real time. I can find out exactly how many people are watching right now and exactly what's going on. It's very difficult. It's very numbers driven, and it can make you crazy. It's easy then for writers to make popularity into a kind of idol. What? Says Zach. How can you know that you've made popularity into an idol? Perhaps you find yourself thinking that happiness or validation is just a few thousand clicks away. Or perhaps you are battling feelings of worthlessness and believe that value is in some way tied to book sales. Or perhaps you think God's favor is necessarily displayed in more books sold rather than fewer. In these ways, you can make an idol out of popularity. I'm going to expand that, like Shenanigans, like, I don't think I'm popular. The question isn't necessarily whether or not you think you're popular. The question is whether you believe that you would be happier and more validated if more people would appreciate you, right? That's the question. Do you feel like if a higher number of people gave you positive feedback on whatever it is, at work, at, in your hobbies, in your tweets, in your whatever, that you would feel like you're a better person, you'd feel like you are worthy, right? That's what that is. I just assume that everyone hates me. That's a bummer. That's also that's the opposite, right? Also untrue, right? And I know that there's a lot of people who struggle with both sides of this, right? One side is nobody likes me, and that's just how it is. And the other side of it is everyone likes me, and that's how it is. And if that it gets toppled, like, say, for example, you make a friend, you find a bunch of people that like you, you got some folks that are kind of feeding you some positivity. For the person who feels like people don't like them, they can shoot themselves in the foot, right? They can be like, they're not actually real. They're making fun of me. Nobody really likes me like that. I actually don't have friends. I don't care what they say. They're lying to me. And so therefore you go and you wreck that relationship, or you go distance yourself from them, or you accuse them of stuff they didn't do, because in your mind, I don't have friends, people don't like me. And when I do have friends and people like me, it doesn't feel good. So I'm going to go and destroy that, conscious or unconscious. The other side of it, my popularity, I need to be popular. I need to be validated. And the number, I know that I'm doing good because other people are giving me positive attention. When I lose it, when I make a mistake, when I go into sort of that dry season, then suddenly I don't have worth. I don't have people giving me bonuses or help or positive feedback. It's not working because I'm learning, or I'm in the middle of something, and therefore my value is lower. Therefore I need to go and change myself, change my mission, change my perspective, change my plan, change something so that more people will give me feedback, right? It could be that you're like in this valley where you need to learn some stuff and it's not going well and you got to sharpen your skills, or you're not there yet. You're doing something else. And then at the other side of that is more success. But when you get down here and you don't feel like people are paying attention to you, you shoot yourself in the foot and you're like, well, I better go back to what I was doing. I better go back to, I need to do something to make myself popular again. You see this happen in celebrities all the time, right? People used to call me beautiful, and I'm super beautiful, and I'm always, that's just how I am. Oh, I'm losing my beauty. I could try to, change and become better skilled at something. Nope, I'm going to go get plastic surgery. right? Or I was a child star and everybody thought I was really cool, and now I don't have as many people saying that because I'm older and I'm, getting whatever. I'm not getting many roles or many things. I better do something insanely stupid or dangerous, You see this all the time. People who desperately need the attention of others, otherwise they don't believe they have value. Like I said, don't let anyone tell you you're not beautiful. I don't. I know what I've got. I know the moneymaker is part of the success. I can't help it. Being articulate, intelligent, and beautiful is a burden I have to bear. I'm not used to people liking me. I'm used to people leaving. So when people are trying to be nice and friendly, I have to fight the idea that they're trying to get something. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I was going to agree with you right up till the last there. The trying to get something. Yeah, that's rough. I don't have that. They're not really friends and they're all going to leave. That's what I've got going on. Have a good rest. Take care of yourself. All right. I can speak with firsthand experience to this because it's an idol that I once had to fight. I had to take radical action against it. I had to take radical action because this idol was leading to jealousy and envy. I realized that I didn't want to be. I didn't just want to be popular. I wanted to be more popular than someone else. I compared myself with others, and somehow I saw their success as challenging or invalidating my own. I realized the sin of envy had begun to root in my heart. When I spotted it, I was alarmed by it, disgusted by it, and realized I needed to put it to death. Yep, I know that feeling. I felt similarly, but not necessarily leaving. I've always been more about the mindset, these people are just trying to be nice. They don't actually care about me. And I think that goes back to what we were just talking about, right? I'm not worthy. Not that I want to pick on Chrono, but like that idea that I can't send that message, right? It wouldn't count. Or I can't do the touchy-feely thing because it just shows vulnerability that, it's faking. And even if they respond, it's not true. It's not real. Nobody ever thinks that way. Right. And I think it comes from the same place, right? It's our inside telling us we're not worthy of love, of attention, of positivity, of care, of whatever. I thought I turned that off. Forgive me. I'm going to turn it off right now. Boink. Where is it? Off. There. Sorry about that. I think it comes from a similar place, and it's us. We have to recognize that it's us. There are people who can like us. There are people who will find us valuable. There are people who will, want to be around us. There are people who are going to find us funny. That is a real thing. They are out there, right? There's 8 many billion people in the world, or 9 billion people in the world, and chances are one of them is going to think you're kind of okay, right? Just odds are, and it's on us to go, okay, I'm worthy of that. Or it's okay for me to ask and get back. And it really does. It is okay for me to want to feel better. Nothing wrong with that. Most people have gotten what they wanted, realized that I wasn't going to give it, or decided that it was too difficult. They leave. And yeah, maybe they're just being nice, but don't actually like me. I don't try to be difficult. Yeah. And if you bumped into enough people, or you have a history of abuse, or you have people in your life that are that consistently only calling when they need you, or only calling when you are of value to them, and when you ask them, they say no, or it's always a reciprocal relationship. Like, everything is paid for. If I give you this, then they give you that. If you try to give them a gift, they have to give you one back, right? It's always got to be even. You don't feel that sense of sacrifice for you. It can be really easy to convince yourself it's not out there, and again, to shoot yourself in the foot because you don't believe it's there, and when you do see it, you're like, it's not real, so therefore I can't believe it. It's hard to do, really hard to do. That's why it's going to take some people bumping into you that aren't horrible, And if you find one, right, you find one that is actually not a jerk or not using you or doesn't want things from you or doesn't, want to, or who actually does think you're interesting, does want to hang out with you, for you to kind of go, okay, I got to get that out of my head. I gotta stop assuming that they're either wrong or crazy or I'm dumb or whatever. I'm just going to be okay with admitting it and believing it. I struggle with that. Every day. I have a friend who is consistently always like, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? You want to hang out? And whatever. And I don't feel like it 99% of the time. And I'm like, I'm a bad friend. And because I'm a bad friend and I keep telling that person, no, they are going to leave. They are going to get sick of me. And then I'll ask them to do something for me. I'm like, hey, can I get some help about that? And then they say yes. And my instinct isn't like, wow, they really do care about me. My instinct is, well, that's one less chip I have for them. I wonder when they're going to get sick of me, because it's going to happen, and I have to fight that all the time, because that person, they're just nice, and they probably are my friend, right? And that's okay. It's just hard for me. The cognitive dissonance comes to play when someone's a jerk. I'll react like I'm worth being treated well. So it's strange in my head. Yeah, that's hard to do. It's because we're damaged, right? Yeah. Someone did something to us and it messed us up. Kind of like if you had a compass that was, bent, and you just had to figure out how to use the compass again. It still points north. It's just harder to read. And you got to lean it a certain way for it'll actually work, because it's a little bit off. Because someone broke the compass. It's not because north changed. It's because you got to figure out how to use the compass. You're just a damaged compass. You still got a north. Still going to point towards magnetic north. You just got to figure out how it works for you. I have a tendency to only reach out to people when I need something. Being intentional can be a real struggle. Being intentional, being vulnerable, doing it only for the sake of relationship, doing it for the sake of starting a relationship, not having a reciprocal relationship where it's like, I just want a friend and I don't want it to be a workmate or a content creator mate or someone who is a fellow or an accountability partner or whatever, just a friend. I don't know what that looks like, especially for dudes. A lot of dudes are like, I don't have friends. I have work friends, or I have, like at church, people I serve with, or I have, my wife has friends and I'm friends with the husband because of that connection. But when it comes to them being friends with someone that is just like on their side, that likes them, that they hang out with, and nothing other than that, it's pretty rare. I tend to go dark. That's my thing. I'll just slide into a hole and stay there, because it's like a cocoon. It keeps me safe. People can't hurt me when I'm there. And but then I'll just get sad and lonely and angry. I'm just sitting there like, people don't like me and I hate that, and I don't like being me and I don't want to be here anymore. But nobody will reach in and I'm not asking for help. And it's a bad place to be. Maybe I just don't have any friends because I didn't define friends correctly. There's that, right? Exactly. Maybe you do have friends. Right. Yeah, possible. Or maybe it's okay to have like 20 kinds of friends, and they don't all have to be the same kind of thing, or there's not like one kind of friend, and you can just kind of have multiple. Nothing wrong with that too. I think the issue comes when you just resolve, I'm unworthy of friendship. I will always be alone. Nobody cares. I guess I'll just have to deal with that. And so that's your just kind of template for life. So when someone tries to be friendly, you're like, yeah, that doesn't really count. You join a group, but you're like, yeah, but this group's going to fall apart. So whatever. And you just like, that's your framework. And you've just settled into that. I think the battle is important. The fight's important. The choice to go, I know this isn't right. I shouldn't try to always be alone. I shouldn't be self-harming. I shouldn't be embracing all this negative thinking. I shouldn't be attributing all this stuff to God. I shouldn't just immediately be disbelieving people. I'm struggling with that. And I think the struggle has value. It's when you kind of settle and you're like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to be lonely and miserable, and people aren't going to like me. And that's just the way it is. It's fine. I'll just deal with life. The problem is, as soon as you settle on that, you're only going to get worse. You're going to be super miserable. The struggle actually matters. Be okay. Be happy with the fact that you are still struggling, because it means you're willing to try to get better. or to try, you're still open to a miracle. That's a good thing too. Hannah says, that's one thing I'm concerned about with Noah. He's so introverted. I just want him to have some friends to turn to now and then. It's tough for introverted folks. I'm a pretty introverted guy. And because I've been damaged and because, people I've trusted have hurt me or whatever, or left, it's hard for me because to just go do anything. And I've got the social anxiety thing happening now where like I'm not good in crowds. Like I'm just not. The only time I'm good in crowds is when I have a job. And then I'm cool. As long as I'm on, right? When you guys come to Reach, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be happy slappy cool because A, I'm representing Taco. B, I've got the Taco Tranquility AFK room that I got to deal with. I'm also speaking there, so that means I have an actual role and I'll be in uniform. So that means people will be able to talk about stuff, and I'll be on, and I'll be fine. I'll have my meltdown in the hotel room later. But if I didn't have that role, I would come in, find a corner in the dark, sit there, cross-legged, leaning against a wall, hoping nobody found me, trying to enjoy the event. That's where I'd be. And that's true sometimes at church. It's true sometimes, if I go places, because I'm just uncomfortable being there because people. But if I'm on, then I'm good to go. It's not healthy, and it's something I have to struggle with. It's hard. It's really, really hard. All right. For those tempted with the idol of popularity, whether in writing or any other field, here are a few matters to consider. First, be honored that God would give you any influence at all. I like that. Zoop. All right. Noses are hard. Know that you are an unworthy servant who has been blessed with a gift that you do not deserve. Do you think it's a small thing to have other people read what you write? Do you think it's a small privilege that you've been given a gift by God himself? Do you think it's small privilege to exert an influence over others? Far better to be like the servants in Jesus' parable and say, we are unworthy servants. We have only done what was our duty. If you cannot be content with what you've got, you'll not be content with what you get. I think that's a good point. That's great. When it comes to struggling with this stuff, is recognizing what a privilege it is that you could, that you even get to do this stuff. For me as a streamer, and for anybody else as a servant of the church or a teacher or someone's a musician or someone who's leading a group or literally anything, just you don't deserve to be there. It's a privilege you get to do. You're there to serve others. You're not there to make it about you. You're there to help others through the gifts that God has given you. That's a good thing. I think also this probably applies to what we've been talking about a little bit. We have something to offer other people, right? We have something to offer other people. And so therefore, us not being friends with them and us choosing to avoid them is actually could be a sense of disobedience towards God, in that we're not being a part of the family, not being a part of the body in the way that would actually bless some folks. We're holding back blessing. We're making their life worse by not trying to be in it, right? It's a privilege for us to be part of the body of Christ, and it's a good thing for us to be. I don't know, just a thought. Second, know that with much success comes much responsibility. We may think that we want another person's success, but we may not want what comes with it. It comes with scrutiny and responsibility, for God expects more of the servant to whom he gives 5 talents than the one to whom he gives 2. If you struggle to be grateful for the little God has given, why would he give you more? If you steward it that little bit poorly, why would he open the floodgates? He may be protecting you from yourself, protecting you from a catastrophic failure. God's love for you may be more vividly displayed in withholding rather than giving. I love that because it's a million times true. Be careful what you wish for is very, very good advice, because you're like, I want to be as big as, I want to grow like, I want to see life from this guy's perspective. I wish I had his money, fame, fortune, whatever, influence. And what you don't see is how hard that is and how miserable it is on the other side and how difficult it can be and the dangers thereof and whatever. It's yeah, it's a good perspective to go, man, you know what? The maybe I'm not ready for that. I tell myself that all the time. Why haven't I popped off? Why am I not getting bigger? Why have I plateaued? Why, and one of the ways I say is that maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I got some stuff that I really need to work on. And if I did pop off and things went crazy and things were, all of a sudden I got super popular, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Something bad would happen, and so therefore be okay with where I'm at as long as I'm faithful in it. Then if this is where I need to be. And if I'm not grateful for being here, I'm not going to be grateful for being there, right? I'm going to get to, say I get to XYZ streamers level or XYZ organizational leaders level. Am I going to be happy there? Why would I be? There's going to be somebody above that. If I'm miserable now, or I'm sad now, or if I think I'm not worth it now, then why would I think I'm better then? Because I won't. Because there's going to be somebody above me, and I'm going to be like, oh, I should be growing. Why aren't I growing? It's an up here issue. It's not a numbers issue. You might get what you want, but you may not want what you get. Amen to that. Potato says, I get this so much. Our purpose as ambassadors ought to be first. What it looks like individually is real tough, though. It's true, and our gifts are different. Our contexts are different. Our communication, our language is different. The way that we influence people different. We're very different people. Absolutely. And that's okay, right? That's okay. My position within Taco, it is a part, right? I'm not Taco. I'm like a part of Taco, and all the rest of the other parts need to be there. It'd be like me sitting on the ground as a cog. And I'm like, look at me being an engine. Like, you're not an engine, you're a cog. Like, you're not even doing anything. Yeah, but I'm a good looking cog. Look at me go. You're not going anywhere. You're a cog. You need other parts. Right? What if I was a bigger cog? You still just be a cog, you big tool. This quote from Malty Babcock has often proven especially helpful and challenging to me. All right. Buckle up your butts here, people. We often think that if we had that man's means or that man's ability or that man's opportunity, we could do something worth doing. But as we are, there is no possibility of but as we are, there is no possibility of any great thing. Yet God does not. Okay, sorry. The nuance is there. We often think that if we had this man's means or that man's ability or that man's opportunity, we could go do something worth doing. But as we are, there's no possibility of doing any great thing yet. God does not want us to fill any other man's place, nor to do any other man's work. God wants us to improve our own opportunity with the possessions and the powers that he has given us. It is a very great thing for us to do the very best we can do, just where and as we are. God asks no one of us to do more than this, nor has any one of us the right to do less. That's very convicting. That's good, solid stuff, man. If only you had that man's beans, then I would have... That's what I need, is more beans. I heard beans instead of means. If only I had that many beans. That's funny. That's funny. Third, the main focus of your life should not be pursuing success, but pursuing character. It is ultimately God who will decide whether you will influence hundreds or millions, and there is not a lot you can do to control that. But what you can control is your pursuit of godliness. Again, God may be withholding greater popularity because your character has not developed enough for you to handle it. One of my constant prayers has been, God, please don't let my success exceed my sanctification. Good prayer. To say it another way, let my influence rise no higher than my holiness. I've seen far too many people gain what they simply could not handle, and when they got what they wanted, it destroyed them. They simply didn't have the holiness to handle it. God knows us better than we do, and maybe holding back what we count as success out of his love for us. Similar to what he said before, but absolutely true. Absolutely true. It could be that that you are not ready for that, right? You're in the, look, we talked about before, you're in the trimming, right? You're in the trimming section. You need to be trimmed before you can bear the fruit. If all of a sudden the fruit got big, your little branch would go, and you'd be toast. You can't handle that big fruit yet. You need a bit more maturing, a bit more thickness to your branch before you are able to bear that much fruit. And if you ask for it and you got it, your branch would break. And then you'd be even more miserable than you were before. Right? Exactly. And especially when you understand exponential growth, right? Like you reaching 1, reaching 2, and then them reaching 2, it's not long till the planet is full, right? Exponential growth is a good thing. Multi Babcock offers this challenge. Here we go again. Our business in life is not to get ahead of other people, but to get ahead of ourselves. To break our own record, outstrip our yesterdays by todays, to bear our trials more beautifully than we could have ever dreamed of, to whip the temper inside of us and out as we never whipped him before, to give as we've never given, to outdo our work with more force and a finer finish than ever. This is the true idea, to get ahead of ourselves. To beat someone else in a game or to be beaten may mean much or little. To beat our own game means a great deal. Whether we win or not, we are playing better than we ever did before. And that's the point after all, to play a better game of life. Good line. That's good stuff. It's so good. You know what I mean? The if you can be better today than you were yesterday, we talked about 1%, right? 1% better in life, that works too. 1% better. If you're better today than you were yesterday, friendlier today than you were yesterday, more self-controlled than you were yesterday, then within however long, you're going to have more influence because God promises to bless as you are worthy of the responsibility, right? Be faithful with a little, you'll be trust you with much. You faithful with your little yet? If not, work on your little. Good article.